Hello, everybody. So I have three rules before we get started. The first rule is feel all your feels. Good friend said that to me. Feel all your feels. And when I say that girl's smart, I want you to say out loud, she's smart, and look for God throughout the story. Um, yes, look for God. So imagine with me a little girl so abused, so mistreated, so neglected, um, just really just abused and distorted in her thinking already that she's the saddest, baddest little girl in the land. None of the kids want to play with her. None of the parents want their kids playing with her. And she's all alone by herself. There's no place safe for her in her home, in her community. The only safe space is her classroom. Her special ed classroom in Carmel Elementary School. She was in special ed for behavior, not for LD or anything like that, because that girl was smart.
She's smart.
She had this wonderful teacher named Miss Holly who saw so much potential in her. Miss Holly saw this girl before she could see herself. Miss Holly saw this girl coming before she can create a plan in her mind to do something wrong. This little girl, she was all over the place in the classroom, stealing stuff, touching stuff, just doing all kinds of stuff. And Miss Holly, she saw so much potential in her. She knew that girl was smart.
She's smart.
So Miss Holly introduced SRAs to this little girl. SRAs are boxes of uh, phonics and stories and just reading comprehension. And in the boxes, there were files of phonics and stories and stuff like that. And each file was color coded. So this girl knew that each color she went up to, that she was smart. That girl knew she was smart.
She's smart.
So, you know, Miss Holly knew that if she sat this girl down with these SRAs, it would kill two birds with one stone. It would keep her focused, keep her sitting in one seat, and it would just bring all this goodness out of her. And the little girl loved the stories because she was already like a plotter and a planner and thinking and scheming all the time. So reading stories was an amazing thing for her. It was a new world for her. She would discover all these worlds in these stories. So she would blow through these SRAs, and each color, she knew that she was smart, and everybody else knew that girl was smart.
She's smart.
And so every day, every week, every month, year after year, this girl blew through these SRAs and went through each color, all the boxes, and Miss Holly would have all these boxes out on the file cabinets, and it created so much autonomy in this girl because she would just get up and get her files out the box and do the work and all, she would it just opened up her mind. By the time this girl was in the 5th grade, she had to take a test to determine how smart she was. And so she scored a 12.9, which meant 12th grade, 9th month. She was in a college reading level by the time she was in the 5th grade. That girl was smart.
She's smart.
Yes. And so life happened because her parents were addicts, and so they moved around a lot. So by the time she was in middle school, she struggled with addiction, and she fought a lot. And she was always that girl, who didn't have any friends because she was always new. And by the time she was in high school, it was the same story. Addiction and dereliction took over her life, and all these other issues took over her life, but nothing kept her down because every school she went to, everything she went through, she always made straight A's. Nothing kept her down because that girl was smart.
She's smart.
And she knew she was. Her world started to open, her mind started to open despite all the things in her life. And she loved education. Miss Holly sparked something so wonderful in her. seeds planted in her. She knew she was going to have a future. So by the time she was in the 10th grade, she had to sign out of high school. She decided to sign out of high school and went to Job Corps. Blew through Job Corps in 10 months. She earned her nurse's aid degree, home health aid degree, and her GED. That girl was smart.
She's smart.
By the time she came home from Job Corps, her addiction was still the same, but she was the youngest nurse's aide in McKeesport Hospital. So she worked very hard, worked really hard. But anybody who knows about addiction, it kind of takes over things. So addiction just became real big in her life. Dereliction, jails, institutions, all kinds of stuff happened. But that girl never forgot Miss Holly. That girl never forgot the seeds that were planted in her. And she remembered God. God walked with her, God talked with her, and she knew God did not forget her. And so in spite of all the things that she went through, she knew how smart she was. God met her in a place where she just knew there was something in her. There were things growing in her, and her life was not going to be over, despite addiction, despite everything she went through. So she made the decision to change her life, and her clean date is February 2nd, 1998. She went to college. In fact, she graduated 4 times because she knew, everybody knew, that girl was smart.
She's smart.
She has a wonderful family. She's changed her life. Wonderful things have happened in her life. She's come full circle in her life. All the exploitation she went through, the addiction, the dereliction, the trafficking she was caught in, she actually founded an organization that provides aftercare for female victims of exploitation and trafficking. That little girl was me. And because of Miss Holly, and because of God, more importantly, I'm the woman standing here before you. Thank you.